What up, guys? It's me again. So, I'm back with another question from one of the clients that I have. And one of the question is, should I cane my child with autism? Well, I throw back the question always to the parent, whereby saying that, is it necessary to cane? Well, in my opinion, caning doesn't solve all of the problem. It actually raises more problem than actually solving it. So what I mean by that is, let's say if the child is misbehaving and then it's really something that you cannot take it, and then you cane the child, right? So let's say the child eats a sweet uh, when he's not supposed to. He took it from the cupboard, he sat down in the living room, and that's before dinner time, and obviously there's a huge no, and then you scold him, you cane him, he cries, you get angry, and all of the commotion and things like that. Trust me, I've seen it many times. Well, I can tell you one thing for sure, the end result is going to be the same no matter how you handle it. The behavior will always escalate, because once you stop that one behavior, guess what? You create more behaviors similar to that first behavior or in replacement to the behavior. So what you do is you cane the child stops, and then the child will find another way to get what he or she wants. It's usually like that. So what I normally do is I always encourage parents to do redirecting. Right, so let's go back to the example of the child with the sweet. So instead of saying, hey, instead of like caning him and getting angry, you can stop, calm down, right? And then you can say, use your visual aid or whatever you have at the moment. What I usually do is first dinner, then sweets, or if no sweets at all, say no sweets. Now trust me, the child might scream, might do many things. Just what you gotta do is you just gotta hold firm, because if you don't hold firm and you let out all these other emotions like anger and just being shouty and caning, it's not gonna solve the problem. As I said before, it's gonna escalate the problem. So that's the first thing I always tell parents, like, what is the purpose of the caning? Like, who benefits from it? Yeah, usually people who do caning are those to do it out of the heat of the moment, out of the anger and some, like, basically the emotions of the moment. But guess what? When the emotions pass, the child remembers, may or may not remember, but usually they remember, because you can obviously see in their next behavior. So what I usually encourage is, because caning is a form of punishment, and studies have shown that using punishments as a teaching tool does not work. So what you can do in replacement of using punishment is reward or reinforcement. There's two types of reinforcement: positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement. I always balance between both of them, but depending on your case. So for example, the sweet case, he's taking a sweet, he's about to eat it, you catch him, then you say, okay, stop, first dinner, then sweet. Right then and there, you're already using a negative reinforcement, because you are taking away the reward, but you're combining it with a positive reinforcement by saying you can get the sweet after the dinner. So you guys see what I mean? So going back to the question, should you cane your child? For me, I would always put caning at the last resort, and I really mean a really last resort, because caning for me it's not a good option. Why? There's many other options that can be done. Why would you choose caning, right? And obviously, think of long term. For me, caning is such a short term and in the moment thing to do. So depending again on your goal, depending on what you want to do with the child, what most parents would say that they want to teach the child. I agree, yeah, you can teach the child, but I also believe there are better ways of teaching the child. Like I said, reinforcement. Use positive or negative reinforcement. That is way more effective, and you will have the same effect as you would with the punishment, minus the drama, minus the emotions. So that's what I mean. Should you cane your child? I would put it as a really hard no, unless But you know, usually in most cases I will put it as a really really hard no. So given a scenario, let's say one of the child swears, right? Obviously there's a huge red no to every parent, every teacher. So how would you handle it, right? Why, another point I want to bring up is, why don't you want to cane? Because let's say the swearing, the child learns a new word out of somewhere. Could be a child, could be a teenager, you know, could be from anywhere, right? These days kids learn very fast, and they say a swear word, and of course you say, hey, don't say the swear word, you know, it's a big no. But what if you use caning? Let's run back the scenario. What if you use caning? Okay, you cane the child cries, you get angry, then the situation subsides, and then what happens if it happens again? You're gonna cane the child again? Okay, you cane the child again, the child cries, and then you get angry, and then everything subsides. What if the child, you know, swears again? What you gonna do? Cane harder? No. I mean, you could, but then what's the point, right? And as you can see, the problem, guys, the more you do it, the bigger the punishment will be, and eventually the problem will escalate to the point where there is no limit. Okay, so but I've also known that parents who did caning, they only have to do it once, and they do it with the right reason and with the right way. So what is the right way? Obviously, I'm not saying that you should cane your child. I'm just saying that the aspect of them doing this method is the key towards the successful, in a way, method. And what is that? So what's the difference? Okay, going back to the question, when you cane a child, what do you usually see? You see, I can imagine like the parents like use their loud voice and in a way angry or somewhat in a very stern tone. It's usually very loud, and then the child is usually like crying or scared or running away or things like that. So basically there's many emotions going on. So what is the key factor that makes it successful is, number one, use a calm neutral tone. You can make it loud, you can make it soft, but as long as you show the child like you're the adult, right? And you should show the child what it's like being the adult and how it is, and you tell them how it is, not by adding emotions, not by adding anger and everything. Because if you add all these, and obviously children with autism have sensory overload anyway, it's going to affect the way they learn from what you want them to learn, right? So calm neutral tone, and this has applied to all situations. I've said this many times throughout my videos. Use a calm neutral tone always. Talk to them as though they're adults, and if you can, use visual aids combined with 1 to 2 words depending on where they are in the spectrum. So let's give an example, like let's say a 4-year-old who did something bad to the point where you need to cane them. Let's say they took out a electrical, maybe they took out the battery from the car key or whatever not. Then you say, oh, you took out the key, you took out the battery, so no. Battery, take out, no. So you will be physically showing them the battery, take out, then you say no, and you can put like a visual aid of a no, or like a sad face or something like that. Then you can say put in yes, good, and things like that. So that usually will deter them from doing it again, because usually kids like that, they're just curious, right? They just want to do it once. Again, there's many scenarios that I can't really bring up all at once, but that's the one that I can think of on top of my head. What else? So let's say if coming back to the swearing one, like a 12-year-old swearing one, what will you do? So I would just say, hey, I just heard you say something that is not appropriate. Of course, depending on the spectrum again. I'm assuming this one is a little bit moderate to high functioning, because I'm just mentioning one of my students saying a swear word, and he's high functioning. So I would say to him, I heard you say something inappropriate. I would like you to not say it again, okay? And I will ask him questions like, do you know what do you think it means, and why do you think we should not say it, and how does it affect the person that you're saying it to, how does it affect you if you're saying it, and things like that. Basically asking him or her questions. And if it's like a lower functioning one, I would obviously say no, obviously using the same method as a 3 to 4 year old, visual aid and 1 to 2 words depending on their understanding and things like that. So yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Again, so I want to recap is like, should you cane your child? For me, it's always going to be a hard no, because I always believe in a better way of teaching a child to not do something. Again, with the calm neutral tone, to address the problem, to talk to them as they are normal children. So just talk to them, and if they need help to understand, obviously use what you can, which is like the visual aids and 1 to 2 sentences, 1 to 2 words. Use whatever you can that you know of, because you know your child the best, right? So use the whatever tools that you know that they can understand with, to tell them that it's not a good thing and they should not repeat it. And if really you need it, you can make a social story. You can find things on YouTube, many scenarios, or you can even make your own to just show them, oh, it's not a good thing to do this, or not a good thing to do that. So yeah, and the last thing is obviously, instead of opting for punishment, which studies show it doesn't work anyway, use positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement. We can always redirect them to what they can do. Instead of like, let's say a child is jumping on the sofa, you can say, oh, you can sit down with me, instead of jumping out. Or you just put, yeah, you can. You know what? Children always will test boundaries. It's up to us as adults to tell them what they can do and cannot do. So if we can always redirect them to what they can do, they will eventually learn, and they will eventually know what they can do instead of doing what they can't do. Because if you just say, hey, you cannot do that, then they'll be stuck like, oh, okay, if I can't do that, what should I do instead? Like, let's say you're jumping one, okay, don't jump on the sofa. Then he's like, what do I do now? Like, if I can't jump, what do I do? Like, tell them, you need to follow up from that. What is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so I think that ends the question for today. Should you cane your children? I would say hard no. There are better options, blah blah blah. Go back if you need to watch again, do watch the video again. I think it's very important for parents to know this. The key question is, who benefits from the punishment? Is it you releasing your emotions, or is it you teaching the child? And if he's teaching the child, I always tell you there's better ways of teaching the child other than punishment. Alright, that wraps up today's video. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. I read everything. Share if you find this useful.